Supergirl didn't just flop, she just destroyed the future of the new DCU. While the studio bleeds millions, James Gunn has made the most bizarre decision in DC history. Bane and Deathstroke are the new priority. Is it genius or the end of everything? Let's look at the numbers. We need to talk about Supergirl's flop. And we're not just talking about any flop. It is a catastrophic failure. Supergirl premiered with box office numbers lower than Morbius. Morbius, guys. That is terrible. And it's not just an isolated problem for the Supergirl movie. It reflects heavily on the rest of the DC slate, because it clearly shows that the general audience couldn't care less about the DC universe right now. Let's break down this giant fiasco. Domestic opening, US, $38 million. International opening, $30 million. Global opening weekend, $68 million. Production budget, approximately $170 million. If we add the massive marketing costs, this movie needs to make at least $350 to $370 million just to break even. With a $68 million worldwide opening, there is no mathematical miracle that can save it. It's completely impossible for this movie to pay for itself. In fact, right now, projections show the movie will likely end its theatrical run at a maximum of $130 million to $150 million globally, meaning it will finish below its actual production budget. This is a classic textbook flop. There's no Hollywood accounting trick you can pull, like throwing in licensing tables or pulling a Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson to claim Black Adam was profitable. There's no way out of this one. Unfortunately, we are talking about a historic flop here. It is one of the biggest failures in DC history. Supergirl was supposed to be one of DC Studios' flagship releases this year, and at the end of the day, it's going to gross less than The Flash, Joker Folie à Deux, Shazam, Fury of the Gods, the first Shazam, and maybe even Blue Beetle. Do you guys remember the Blue Beetle era? Back in 2023, the year of The Flash, Shazam 2, and Aquaman 2, Blue Beetle made about $130 million.
Back then, everyone justified the flop by saying audience interest in the old DCEU was completely dead. It was a total failure. But James Gunn was already in control of DC Studios, and the prevailing argument was that once Gunn's new DCU officially kicked off, things would improve. But the rabbit hole goes much deeper when we compare this to Marvel's biggest failure. Well, we had Superman. It was a movie that didn't flop, but it didn't set the box office on fire either. And now, with the second movie of this new universe, it feels like we're right back to that 2023 normality of failures. Comparing it to other recent superhero disasters, that $38 million domestic opening is lower than Morbius, practically identical to Joker 2, lower than The Flash, $55 million, lower than The Marvels, $46 million, which is widely considered the biggest flop in Marvel Studios' history. This is only the second movie of this new universe. In theory, an early universe-building movie should be drawing crowds to the theaters.
Now, obviously, there are other factors at play. Character weight matters. Supergirl is clearly not on the same tier as Batman, Superman, or Wonder Woman. Furthermore, the marketing for this film was completely inefficient, and the release date was the worst possible choice, squeezed right between Minions and Toy Story 5. To make matters worse, this movie has absolutely zero positive word of mouth. It's sitting at 56% on Rotten Tomatoes. Looking around on YouTube, all I see are mixed or completely negative reviews. A mediocre review is not enough to convince a family to spend money at the movie theater. Because there's no word of mouth, the second weekend drop is going to be terrifying. Brace yourselves, because if it drops 70 to 80% at the box office, I won't be surprised in the slightest. Absolutely everything that could go wrong with Supergirl went wrong.
And look, if you're also outraged by the direction DC Studios is taking, or if you agree that we can't keep making excuses for a billion-dollar studio, go ahead and smash that like button down below and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us keep bringing you these honest, unfiltered reviews. Did you leave a like? Alright, let's find out who's to blame for this disaster.
So what does this mean for DC Studios?
This is a massive blow. There's no way this doesn't splash onto James Gunn and Peter Safran. You can blame writer Anna Noguera for the script, or Craig Gillespie for the direction. But due to how this studio was built, the grand architects of this entire operation are Gunn and Safran. It was James Gunn who proudly announced that Supergirl was cutting in line ahead of all other movies because the script was ready to shoot. He chose Craig Gillespie to direct because of Cruella and I, Tonya, apparently thinking that just because Gillespie made 2 movies with female leads, he would automatically make a great Supergirl movie by osmosis. Obviously, that wasn't the case. By the way, if you want to wash the bad taste out of your mouth after this movie and understand what all the initial hype was about, Tom King's original comic book, Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, is an absolute masterpiece that the movie completely failed to honor. I've left a direct link to our Amazon storefront in the description and the pinned comment. Trust me, the comic is 1,000 times better, and it is an absolute must-read. If there is anyone truly responsible for this flop, that someone is James Gunn. I don't know if he was watching a different movie in his head. I don't know if he genuinely thought the script was a masterpiece, or if he felt incapable of criticizing it. Supergirl is the first movie where James Gunn acted entirely as a producer without directing. So how is the DCU going to fare when Gunn isn't personally writing or directing? The answer, so far, is the worst possible. This flop makes you question everything. The audience is questioning everything. Clayface is coming out in October. We already weren't expecting gigantic box office numbers for a Clayface movie, but since it's cheap, it might actually break even, especially considering Supergirl will likely stall at $130 million. But Supergirl's failure is going to impact Clayface too, because people are getting suspicious. A huge chunk of the audience is already losing their goodwill toward James Gunn's DCU. If you keep making movies that flop, movies that are just okay, movies that feel like just another movie churned out by a studio machine, audiences will notice. The audience isn't stupid. If Clayface gets mixed reviews, just like Supergirl, and lands a 6 out of 10, the audience won't like it, and they won't show up. At worst, it's just another disappointment. There is a marketing flaw that no one is noticing, and it's going to kill the next Superman movie too. The next Superman movie, the Man of Tomorrow project, now carries a gigantic burden. It can't just be another superhero movie. We are entering a landscape where it has to be excellent. If it's just good, the audience might not even show up. I genuinely hope that Supergirl's flop serves as a wake-up call for DC Studios and for James Gunn. It's not 2016 anymore. Making a 6 out of 10 movie gets you nowhere. In fact, it actively hurts your brand. You need absolute certainty that the director you hired is going to deliver excellence. There is no room in modern Hollywood for mediocre superhero movies. The audience will punish you. Marvel just figured this out recently, which is why they stopped making movies like Supergirl. But did DC learn its lesson? Apparently not, because right after this historic disaster, what's the next big move? What is the master plan to win back the audience? The Wrap just reported that the next DC Studios movie is actually going to be about Bane and Deathstroke. This rumor had been circulating for a while. We knew someone had pitched a script and they were working on it. But the big news from The Wrap is that this is now a priority for DC Studios. If it's a priority, it means it's the next movie on the slate, aiming for a 2028 release, right after the upcoming Superman projects. Right after The Wrap dropped that bomb, the insider Apocalypse Horseman, who has a 100% track record, confirmed the worst. Everyone expected Batman the Brave and the Bold or Wonder Woman to be the priority, focusing on the Trinity. But no, the studio wants to fast-track Bane and Deathstroke. Horseman even mentioned he's working on an exclusive scoop about it. And look, if Apocalypse Horseman says it's going to happen, it's going to happen. I've never seen the guy miss. What the hell is going through James Gunn's head? Seriously, the guy has lost his mind. You have an enormous responsibility after the humiliating beating the studio just took with Supergirl, a failure that Peter Safran completely downplayed by calling it a stumble. Peter, that wasn't a stumble, You fell out of a 15-story window. You guys spent $170 million, tried to market it like a $300 million epic, and it won't even scrape $150 million. And you call that a stumble? It's looking more and more like Gunn and Safran are playing a Hollywood studio simulator video game, just picking random genres and characters completely detached from reality. A Matrix-level delusion. And you want to follow that up with a villain team-up movie without Batman? Look, I know Deathstroke isn't technically a Batman villain in the comics, but the general audience associates him with Batman because of the Arkham video game series. DC has convinced itself that a Bane and Deathstroke movie is what people want.
With all due respect to the writer of this movie, maybe he loves Bane, maybe he loves Deathstroke, maybe they're his favorite characters and he grew up reading their comics. But there is zero justification for greenlighting this movie right now. The only way a movie like this works financially is if Batman is in it. Not just a cameo, but as a major antagonistic force hunting them down. Then it becomes interesting. But knowing James Gunn, it's obvious Batman won't be in the movie. It's just going to be an attempt to replicate the Deadpool and Wolverine dynamic, completely misunderstanding what makes those characters work. And who is on the short list to direct? Greg Mottola. Guys, have you looked at Greg Mottola's resume? He makes comedy movies. Superbad, Paul, he directed those. They are great comedies. But does he have any experience directing heavy, visceral action scenes? If you're making a Bane and Deathstroke movie, you can't turn it into a silly comedy. Can we agree on that? It's completely different from Deadpool and Wolverine, which naturally leans into comedy because of who Deadpool is. With Bane and Deathstroke, it has to be a serious, dark action movie. And you float the name of a guy who has never shot a major action sequence in his life? You have to applaud James Gunn. He just keeps pulling off unbelievable and unjustifiable stunts. Oh, but maybe the budget is small. It'll only cost $60 million. How are you going to make a grand, global action movie with Bane and Deathstroke for $60 million? It's going to be severely restricted, just like Supergirl was. Supergirl clearly needed more alien planets, more space travel, and larger set pieces, but they couldn't afford that with a $170 million budget. So how do you do Bane and Deathstroke with $60 million? Are they just praying for the Joker effect? Is that the business model now? Every Batman villain movie has to be a low-budget character study, hoping to catch lightning in a bottle like Joker did? Lightning doesn't strike the same place twice. If this flops, the brand takes another massive hit. It feels like they just want to make movies for the sake of making movies. We need a movie for 2028. What do we have? Bane and Deathstroke? Let's shoot it. No. If the brand needs to recover, leave that for later. I'm not even saying the movie shouldn't exist. I'm saying you cannot make this kind of movie right now. Because the chances of it flopping, even if it turns out to be an excellent movie, are incredibly high. You are risking the studio's image all over again. You are going against everyone and everything just to prove you're the smartest guy in the room. And in the end, you fall flat on your face again. I want James Gunn to succeed so badly, but the guy oversees the second or third biggest flop in DC history, and his immediate reaction is to announce Bane and Deathstroke. Man, DC Studios is completely out of touch with reality. I want everyone to take a deep breath, find your inner peace, and answer honestly. Do we need a Bane and Deathstroke movie in 2028? Deep in your heart, do you sincerely think this movie will do well at the box office? I'm sorry, but I don't think so. Maybe the script is a 10 out of 10. Maybe Greg Mottola is secretly the greatest action director Hollywood never knew it had. Maybe the writer has crafted the ultimate masterpiece for these two characters. It's possible, but highly unlikely. It's just another movie that fails to get everyone hyped. It becomes incredibly hard to believe in James Gunn's long-term vision if he keeps pushing forward with these crazy ideas.
Let's imagine an optimistic scenario. Clayface comes out, it's good, and makes a solid $200 million. We survive. Then the new Superman movie comes out. It expands the universe, features Brainiac, maybe a Wonder Woman cameo, builds hype, and makes more money than the last Superman movie. We walk out of the theater thinking, whew, we made it out of that crisis. We're out of the hole. And then, what's on the horizon for 2028? Dynamic duo, which could be great, but isn't the kind of project you're almost guaranteed will be a smash hit, and Bane and Deathstroke. If you had Bane and Deathstroke squeezed in between massive blockbusters, like in 2028 we'll have Wonder Woman and Bane and Deathstroke. Okay, I could maybe excuse that. But as the only big movies for the time being, that's a tough sell. James Gunn, please listen to me. The movie hasn't been officially announced yet. There's still time to backtrack. You can just say it was all a lie, that everyone is crazy and there is no Bane and Deathstroke movie. Put that wonderful script in a drawer. It's not going to grow legs and run over to Marvel. You already own the rights. You can make this movie in 2030 or 2032 when the universe is actually stable. What you need to do right now is focus 100% on the heavy hitters.
That Sergeant Rock project? Forget it. Put out a press release saying it was canceled before someone decides to greenlight it. If a guy comes in wanting to do a Joker's Goon project, tell him to find a job at another studio. Focus on Wonder Woman, Superman, Batman, Justice League, and Teen Titans. I'm leaving the Flash out for now because of his recent flop, which hurts things.
These are the heroes that carry the brand on their backs. And since we're talking about the Trinity and DC's heavy hitters, make sure to check out our YouTube shopping shelf popping up right below this video. We've handpicked the absolute best Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman collectibles and action figures with exclusive deals just for you. Grab yours now, because unlike the movie, these are actually worth your money.
It is a massive mistake to have taken so long to actually get Brave and the Bold and Wonder Woman moving. DC needs Batman financially. And when I say fast-track it, I don't mean rush out any old garbage. Get a great script. But maybe reconsider Andy Muschietti. He's not a bad director, but audiences distrust him after The Flash. Bring in someone you trust implicitly. Bring in comic book legends like Grant Morrison or Paul Dini to co-write with an experienced film writer so we can avoid character assassinations. Like Supergirl killing someone in cold blood for revenge, which totally breaks character. It shouldn't be this hard to build a shared universe. You literally have the rights to every single DC hero. But instead, we're dragging our feet on a Batman script while prioritizing villains. But who knows, right? Maybe we'll find out down the line that everyone was wrong and James Gunn was right. Maybe Bane and Deathstroke will be a cinematic triumph. Let's see what happens. Let's see if this movie actually gets announced, or if I'm stressing out over nothing and he cancels it behind the scenes.
Guys, this is just my opinion, okay? You don't have to agree with me, but I really want to hear your thoughts down below. Engage with the video. What do you think of the monumental flop of the Supergirl movie? And what's your take on DC prioritizing Bane and Deathstroke for 2028? Let's debate in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, please drop a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel to stay updated on absolutely everything about Batman and the DC Universe. Thank you so much for watching until the end. I'm signing off for now, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.